I'm looking Board Corporate Secretary. Welcome to this public hearing on Metro's proposed 2024 budget. This hearing is convened by the Metro Board of Directors to gather public comments on two bills. Document 23-0 for year 2023 to 2028 Capital Improvement Program, and docket B 2302, Metro's proposed FY2024 operating budget. Notice of this hearing was made by publication in the Washington Post, and ads were placed in the Afro, Atrif, Laine, El Tiempo Latino Times, Korean Times, and the Washington Hispanic, as well as through social media and radio networks. Signs were also placed in all rail stations on buses, Metro Access, in Metro Access vehicles, and at select Metro buses. Notice was also made online and sent to area libraries. We're looking forward to hearing from everyone who's doing this evening, provide testimony. Testimony in three ways: video and by phone. Before we take testimony, we'll show a brief video that provides an overview of the budget, and then Ms. Olumide will provide a little more detail on the budget and what's in it.
Good evening, Board Member Drummer, members of the public. My name is Yetunde Olumide, Chief Financial Officer and Executive Vice President here at the Washington Metro. This evening, I'll share with you an overview of the GM's proposed FY24 budget to include highlights, budget initiatives, service and fare optimization proposals, and the proposed operating and capital budget.
Hi everyone, I'm Randy Clark, and I have the privilege of being the Metro General Manager. I'm excited to present our fiscal year 24 budget. Budgets are really about the values and priorities of an organization. And in this organization, delivering safe, frequent, reliable transportation is what we do, and our goal is to do it in the most equitable, sustainable way possible. I'm really proud of the effort the team has made in taking input in the budget process between a lot of customer engagement events out at stations and at bus stops, working internally with our teams and employee town halls. We met with a lot of elected officials and key stakeholders. Your input helped drive this process, and we thank you for that. I want to also recognize our board. We've transparently had multiple board meetings talking about different concepts and investments in this budget, and their input has been taken into account. I really look forward to them having a deep review and their consideration of moving the budget process forward. Thank you again for all of your input into Metro's budget, and we look forward to seeing you on board the system. Have a great day.
We take this process very seriously, and in fact, we've already used some of the feedback that we've gotten from customers, community, the region, and our stakeholders to make some improvements and start some initiatives that address customer concerns. But the work doesn't stop there. Every penny in this new budget proposal will go towards making Metro service better. In fact, whether it's the low-income fare program, the wayfinding signage program, or training for frontline employees, all of our dollars in this budget proposal are being invested in making your Metro better.
We're building a new Metro integrated command and communication center to improve coordination between bus and rail incidents. We're also centralizing training and building a training academy designed to create a collaborative environment and promote facility-enhanced safety, improve internal coordination, and better communicate with our customers when incidents disrupt service.
We've included operational initiatives and capital projects to provide more frequent and reliable bus and rail service, as well as simplified fares to improve our customer access to destination and opportunities. And we've included capital investments to advance sustainability, including this solar carport at Anacostia, which will generate energy equivalent to that needed to power about 165 homes for a year.
We're focused on increasing our public safety efforts, which means more police and more visibility on Metro Bus and Metro Rail. We're hiring crisis intervention coordinators to make sure that people with mental health issues get the resources they need.
We're also enhancing our video system, which includes thousands of cameras to help us quickly solve crimes and address disorder.
We're working to improve our bus and rail system daily. Our focus remains on optimizing bus routes and increasing rail frequency. We're working to build our bench strength through recruitment and retention of Metro Bus and Metro Rail team members, which will support providing more reliable service to our region. We've increased 7K trains to ease crowding, and we also have extended the Silver Line to the Washington Dulles International Airport by way of Ashburn. This budget proposal includes service improvements on the yellow, green, and orange lines, and also adds 3 new bus service enhancements to your Metro. The team is working hard every day for our customers, and this budget further supports providing better service to the people who need us most.
Our frontline maintenance professionals and our contractor partners are working day and night, 365 days a year, to ensure our tracks, powers, and signals continue to provide the safe and reliable service that our community deserves. Also, we continue to invest in our fleet to include new buses and trains and our Metro Access vehicles.
We're also building new facilities and supporting infrastructure that will help in the fight with climate change. Metro's Northern and Bladensburg bus garages will be LEED certified electric bus facilities featuring solar panels, energy efficiency technologies, and other sustainable solutions.
We build talented teams at Metro. We are looking to recruit the best of the best and provide a workplace culture that is showing our employees that they are valued, supported, and make them proud of their accomplishments and contributions towards making Metro a connector of our region.
The proposed FY24 budget is a great opportunity to provide more frequent service to customers, simpler fares, accessibility to transit through a Metro-led low-income fare program, safety, a state of good repair by responsible oversight of our system, and modernization and electrification of our vehicle fleet. While we are fortunate to have a number of funding sources for FY24, FY25 will present some long-term operational outlook challenges that will require more serious discussion about what our region wants Metro to be for our future.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the highlights of our fiscal year 24 budget. But the job's not done. We still need to hear more from you, our customers, and our community. So please attend or listen in to upcoming board hearings. Follow us on social media or WMATA.com. Please let us know if we got your priorities right for investing in the future of Metro. It's your community's transit system, and we need your input. Thank you. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you on board.
Thank you. So the proposed budget increases bus and rail service, simplifies fares, launches the Better Bus Network redesign, and funds crisis intervention specialists. The proposed capital budget funds zero-emission buses and electrification of the Northern and Bladensburg bus garages, opens the new Potomac Yard Station, modernizes customer wayfinding, and funds the creation of the Metro Integrated Communications Center. Specifically, the proposed budget increases service frequency with trains every 3 to 6 minutes at stations in the core and trains every 8 to 12 minutes or better system-wide, benefiting customers across the entire network. Next. I'll now present the fare and service optimization proposals. The FY24 service optimization proposal strengthens Metro's transit network by increasing frequency within the central portion of the system to serve fast-growing areas with high ridership potential, providing efficient and predictable transfers and increasing job accessibility. The FY24 fare optimization proposal simplifies the Metro Rail fare structure for customers, grows ridership and revenue, and makes transit more affordable for most price-sensitive customers. On Metro Bus, this slide shows the expansion of all-day frequent service improvements to 3 additional bus lines, the B2, 812, and 16M, while the docket includes the 4th additional line, 11Y, and the launching of the Better Bus network redesign. On Metro Rail, service would improve with trains arriving every 3 to 6 minutes at stations in the core and every 8 to 12 minutes, benefiting customers across the entire network. Green and yellow line trains would arrive every 6 minutes all day, with all yellow line trains turning around at Mount Vernon Square Station. Orange line trains would operate every 7.5 minutes on average during peak service and every 10 minutes during off-peak service. The proposed rail fare structure ranges from $2 to $6.50 for weekdays and maintains the $2 late night and weekend fares. Weekday peak and off-peak fare structure would be consolidated. The mileage rate would be standardized at 40 cents per mile after 3 miles. The rail base fare would match the bus fare at $2 all week. Metro would administer a regional low-income fare program. This fare simplification offers advantages over a general across-the-board fare increase by growing ridership while maintaining a positive budget impact. The proposed low-income fare program would provide customers enrolled in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistant Program a 50% discount on trips, similar to seniors and disabled reduced fares. Now on to the proposed operating budget. Metro has been able to reduce the original deficit forecast for FY24. Starting from the left, the red bars show the original $318 million deficit down from $500 million. Over fiscal years 23 and 24, Metro projects an additional $150 million of personnel cost growth, mostly tied to labor and contract inflation. At the same time, Metro achieved operating budget favorability of $284 million in FY22 from reduced expenses and favorable operating revenues. As a result, Metro is now looking at a $185 million budget gap for FY24 that needs to be closed based on options that have been previously discussed. To sum up the gap closure conversation, the anticipated $185 million operating funding gap will be closed through a combination of recovering ridership, revenue from non-passenger sources, revenue from fare optimization initiatives, expense management, and increased federal formula funding for maintenance. In addition, new above base service includes improved service frequencies on the orange, green, and yellow lines, more frequent service on 3 specified bus routes, and the opening of the new Potomac Yard station. The table shows a comparison of our FY23 to our proposed FY24 budget. The total federal ARPA relief funding is budgeted at about $561 million at the very bottom of the screen, which is the remaining balance we expect to have available for use in FY24. I'll pivot to the capital improvement program. The $2.4 billion FY24 capital budget and the $14 billion total FY24 to 29 CIP, which includes debt service and revenue loss from capital projects, focuses on Metro's capital investments on safety, state of good repair, the reliability of Metro Rail, Metro Bus, and Metro Access assets. Highlights of the budget include investments in the Northern and Bladensburg garages to enable them to run electric vehicles, life cycle replacement of bus and paratransit vehicles, 8K series rail car acquisitions, and rail car heavy repair and overhaul facility. This capital improvement plan is funded by $2.4 billion of a combination of federal, state and local, and debt funding. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Olumide. Before we call witnesses, I'd like to explain the testimony process. As I noted, we have people joining us in one of three ways. We'll be switching between the queues during the hearing. If you're joining us by video, please keep your camera off and mute your microphone until I call on you. If you're with us in person, please come to the podium and microphone when I call on you to speak. If you need a microphone brought to you, please raise your hand when I call your name and someone will come to you. If you're here in person and want to speak, please see the staff outside at the registration table. If you registered in advance, please make sure you checked in at the registration table to let us know you're here. If you're listening on the phone, you can press *3 to be put into the queue to speak, and you'll get a notification when it's your time to speak. If you're watching this hearing live and decide you want to provide testimony, you can call 855-925-2801. After calling in, you enter the meeting code 7756. I say again, if you're watching this hearing live and decide you want to provide testimony, you can call 855-925-2801. After calling in, enter meeting code 7756. Once you're in the meeting, you'll be able to listen over the phone by pressing *1. If you'd like to provide testimony, you can press *3 and you'll be put in the speaker's queue. You'll also receive a message when it's your turn to speak. You can watch the hearing live online at www.wmata.com/budget, and the video will be archived on Metro Forward YouTube channel. If you're watching the live hearing on a different device while waiting in the phone queue, please mute the device to prevent feedback. To ensure that the public record is accurately reflects who's providing testimony, we ask that you please state your name and any organization you represent before beginning your testimony. Since this hearing is being recorded and will be available on YouTube, please do not provide any personal information like addresses, phone numbers, and emails in your testimony. With regard to time limits, elected public officials will be allowed 5 minutes and everyone else will be allowed 3 minutes each. Extra time will be given for translation if needed. We ask that you stay within your time limits because we want to ensure that everyone who wants to speak has a chance to be heard. I also want to note that each speaker is only able to speak once at each hearing. While you may have the option to rejoin the speaker queue, we cannot accept additional testimony at this meeting. Now, this hearing is your opportunity to comment on the proposals, and we are here to listen to you. I'll also point out that we will not be able to answer questions during your testimony. For those of you with us in person, Metro staff is available outside to answer questions. And detailed information is also available online at wmata.com/budget. Your comments will become part of the public record that will be reviewed by the Metro Board of Directors. Changes to the options presented here tonight may be proposed in response to testimony received and subsequent staff analysis. And now it's time to call the first witness. And as a reminder, please tell us your name and any organization you represent before you start speaking. Our first speaker is Paul Summerford.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Paul Summerford, and I'm a member of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. I reside here in beautiful Prince George's County, Maryland, and I'm speaking as an individual tonight. Welcome, everybody. So what I've come to talk about is simplification of fares for all transit modes, especially Metro Access, which is currently the most complex and inconsistent. A simple fix would be to extend the current flat fare that we have on weekends and after 9:30 p.m. to 24 hours, 7 days a week. Particular emphasis we see here is extending the discounted fares on all transit modes to all low-income people, not just those receiving SNAP benefits. We want to get as many, low-income people as possible. This might include, but not be limited to MAC riders receiving SSI and or SSDI benefits. The reason I'm bringing that up is in other cities, like in New York City, they have a fares program where they have an eligibility process, and they were able to include their paratransit customers who were, regular fares $275 and qualify in terms of income, they're paying only $1.35 for their paratransit fares. So if they're able to do something similar like this in another city, I strongly encourage WMATA to do the same thing, also expanding that. Also, please keep the proposed equity and accessibility enhancement plans. Please continue the Better Bus Project, enhancing surface routes and service. Please include accessible bus stops, replacing those that do not currently meet accessibility standards, including curb cuts, signage, and shelters. Floating bus stops must provide safety for low vision, low hearing, and low mobility passengers, as well as others. We also thank you for, recouping, regenerating, and replacing our Metro Access fleet. So continue to do that, but also, when y'all do that, to also continue to get the, advice from the Accessibility Advisory Committee and the general riding disabled public who use that service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Summerford. Our next speaker is Lindsay Mendelson.
Hello, thank you so much for the opportunity to comment today. My name is Lindsay Mendelson. I'm a transit rider in Hyattsville, Maryland, and commenting today to encourage WMATA to increase the frequency of the 83 bus. There is an explosion of development that's happening across the Route 1 corridor from Northeast DC through the Gateway Arts District up through College Park. But right now, there's no plans to provide increased bus service in the Route 1 corridor. I think this is a high ridership potential. There's over 3,000 apartment units that are being built or have been built within the last couple years within this corridor. Where I live in the Hyattsville Arts District, there's one mixed-use development happening across the street and two more apartment complexes within a 10-minute walk of me, but there's currently a missing link of transit service. Right now, the 83 bus is the only bus that provides connection exclusively from the Route 1 corridor from Northeast DC through College Park. So it connects from the Rhode Island Avenue station in DC to the College Park station, which will have a future Purple Line station. But right now, it only has headways of 20 minutes to over an hour, depending on the time of day. I've waited, 40 minutes to over an hour, and I've just found it very unreliable. So I'd have to go out of my way, bike to the College Park station, and transfer to the Red Line to get to that station in DC when it's only 4 miles from me. So unlike, the F4 bus that I take, I can rely on, that's every 12 minutes. This is really a missing link And I think it's really, like I mentioned, a high ridership potential that would provide that connectivity to residents across the region to, live, dine, shop, go to, medical appointments. And right now, it's really not very reliable. So I've looked at the ridership number, and the number of daily boardings has doubled since COVID. So ridership is coming back, and would definitely encourage you to increase the frequency of service, especially with all the growth that's happening in the region. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mendelson. Our next speaker is Phil Posner.
Good evening. It's so good to see all of you again. Please keep the proposed equity and accessibility enhancement plans, including those that were implemented during the pandemic. And that includes Metro Access, with the expansion of the coverage area. Because there are so many changes to the bus and rail routes due to construction and the pandemic, Metro Access would have been reduced to nothing had WMATA not expanded it to the area that was formerly served when there was full service. And we request that you keep Metro Access at that level. We also will request that consider Metro Access when you're simplifying fares, because right now there are over 200,000 iterations every 30 minutes of a potential cost to a Metro ride. So often, the fare that I pay on Monday at 2 o'clock to go someplace is less than the fare that I pay to come home from that same place 3 hours later. And the same is true throughout the day. Currently, the only time we know what our fare is in advance is weekends and after 9:30. So we request that Metro Access fares be a flat fare, 24/7, as it is on the weekends. I'd also point out that currently, when Metro Access fares are calculated, everybody on Metro Access has a disability. They wouldn't be there. Yet when the fare is calculated, it's twice the normal fare on the fastest route, bus or rail. Talk about complex. So it's nice that we're going to be giving discounts to low-income people. But Metro Access riders are already eligible for that discount, but we don't get it. And not because we're not low income. Many of the Metro Access riders are also on SSDI and disability. So we're requesting that think about the disability community. And I know Mr. Webster and Mr. Tunde, because they both come visit us at the AAC, know what our problems are and have calculated the data and the cost to them. And they both know that giving us a flat fare is totally on all of the charts. We're a flat line, parallel to the x-axis. You don't even see us, but we're there. Thank you. I heard it, so it's time to let other people talk. It's always a pleasure to be involved. Thank you. And Colonel Trevor, I believe the African Queen will be there tonight to chat with you.
Thank you, Mr. Posner.
You're
Our next
welcome.
speaker will be Soon Choi. Oh, okay, we'll move on. Our next speaker is Daniela Gonzalez. We'll move on. Our next speaker is Mr. Bill Orleans.
Good evening, Bill Orleans. Having watched that video, one might think that there's nothing that Metro management could do to improve the situation, and nor necessarily not anything that Metro's board could do to improve the situation. That video presents the suggestion that all is fine and only going to get better. I'm not inclined to accept entirely that Metro management can't do more or that Metro's board can't do more. I've had a particular problem for the last couple of years in that when I'm looking at my bus timetable, which is out of date, and seeking an updated bus timetable, there are none. There haven't been any since early on in this COVID experience we've all shared. I noted with interest in the proposed 24 budget initiatives that there will be modernized customer information and wayfinding. By modern, I'm thinking that maybe that's only digital, but there are a lot of analog people that still rely on Metro's buses. And since the call center also suggested there will be an initiative with regard to the call centers, since the call centers will still be closing up shop at 7 o'clock in the evening and not open to answer questions by phone on the weekends, all the more reason that Metro should invest a small amount of money to reprint updated timetables reflecting the expected real time of stops along each of its routes. I've long thought that Metro's management, upon hearing from its customers and the public generally each year, should assess what is needed for Metro and just present that assessment to each of the funders, including the feds. And at least with regard to the 3 states, it should be expected from the legislatures of the 3 states and their executives to provide the amount of funding that Metro has assessed it needs. I frankly had forgotten that Maryland 3 years ago or 4 years ago also participated in suggesting there should only be a 3% increase in the growth of state expenditures, state funding for Metro. I'd like to suggest once again that Metro come up with its needs and simply present to Maryland, Virginia, and the district, and also the feds, what it expects from them, and let the legislators determine whether they'll comply with the needs of Metro or not. Lastly, looking around the room, I see no elected officials from either Montgomery or Prince George's here. And I don't know if anybody from Montgomery or Prince George's Departments of Transportation are here. If there is, I'd like them to raise their hand. Somebody from county government, Montgomery and Prince George's, should be here. And at least somebody from their respective transportation departments should be here. And that they're not suggests that what I think is likely, and that is that this exercise is a wasteful exercise because of this.
Thank you, Mr. Orleans. Our next speaker is Kelson Nisbet.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kelson Nisbet, and my main Metro location is West Hyattsville here in Prince George's County, and I currently work at the Pentagon. So I've lived here for about 9 months, and I moved here from Los Angeles, California. Since I've moved to Hyattsville, I've made several observations that kind of make the Yellow Line repositioning just an unfortunate move. One, having come from Arlington to Hyattsville and have personally ridden with those that have physical limitations, it seems that adding an extra stop or a transfer just to make the rest of the trip would be very unfortunate for individuals. Two, as I've kind of moved around or looked around in the neighborhood, I have seen several advertisements for dialysis. And with that, I do know people that travel from West Hyattsville and from other locations out to Arlington and Alexandria. And currently they can do this, once the Yellow Line is up, they can do this in essentially one particular swoop, if you will. So those that have kidney issues, as well as diabetes and other issues, they have an increased frequency of urination. So with that being said, I think that the adding of an extra stop kind of disadvantages those individuals. So I'd ask you to kind of reconsider. And then lastly, for myself, I live in the riverfront properties right across from the West Hyattsville. And as I walk around the neighborhood, I do see several out-of-state license plates from California, Florida, New York. So what that means is that they're likely military. For myself, I bought this home simply because of the ease of transit from the West Hyattsville location all the way to the Pentagon station, as well as getting to the airport. I travel to the airport very frequently as well, and it's very convenient for me to do so. When it comes to traveling from one location to another or moving from one location to another, especially clear across the country, one of the things that made it very easy for me or very convenient for me to make my choice of where I was going to live was simply because of the metro location and because of the yellow line going from one location directly to the place where I work, especially going into the office every single day. So I've shared my testimony with other prospective buyers as well as other prospective individuals that may be reassigned to the DMV. So I'll ask you not to reposition the yellow line as it disadvantages many of us. That's my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nisbet. Our next speaker will be Sandy Newsel.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Newsel. I reside in Reston, Virginia. However, I work and volunteer in Maryland, DC, and Virginia, so I speak on behalf of all jurisdictions. I work for the Prevention of Blindness Society. I'm a volunteer on the Metro Accessibility Advisory Committee, but I'm speaking here as a private citizen. I advocate for people who have a range of vision challenges, from low vision, where they can't drive, to legal blindness, to color blindness, to low contrast sensitivity, so it's difficult to make out objects frequently. Tonight, I want to talk about the infrastructure and better bus in the terms of bus islands specifically. Bus islands would be quite the challenge for someone who can't see easily to cross from the sidewalk to the bus island. I understand the point of safety for bicyclists to have their own bicycle lane. I understand the concept of more efficient bus flow and safety by not crossing where those bicyclists are. But the pedestrians, the riders on the bus, your Metro ridership has to get from the sidewalk to the bus island. We need really good signage that is geared accessibly for people with low vision or no vision, color challenges, contrast sensitivity challenges. We also need signage that is audibly accessible to know when it is safe to cross that crosswalk from the sidewalk to the bus island, to know when the next bus, what the next bus is that's coming, and when it is safe to go across. An audible pedestrian signal, for instance, could be very helpful to hopefully stop those bicyclists in the bicycle lane so they don't bump into people. With low vision, it can be very difficult to see a small moving object like a bicycle that doesn't have a motor and isn't making any noise. So I want to ask Metro to coordinate with the various jurisdictions to come up with a plan that's consistent among the jurisdictions that addresses the accessibility issue in advance of accidents happening, to make this safe to use bus islands for all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Newsel. We'll now switch to the phones, and it appears that we have one caller on the phone.
Caller with that phone number ending in 1503. I'm going to unmute your line. When you get queued, you can start your testimony.
Thank you very much. My name is Patrick Sheehan. I am chair of the Accessibility Advisory Committee, speaking for myself, but also on points that the Accessibility Advisory Committee has agreed on. Like Paul and like Phil, I am advocating for a flat fare for Metro Access. Everything that both of them have said, the committee agrees with. The fares are far too complicated. You've got over 250,000 combinations of fares for Metro Access patrons to get their particular fare derived from. As has been said in the past, you can go and take a trip one place and it might cost you $375. You take the same trip the next day and it's going to cost you $450. If we're doing fare simplification, we need to have something that is much more reliable, much more understandable, and much more fair than what we have now with the Metro Access system. We're asking that this flat fare be extended 24/7. We already have a flat fare after 9:30 at night and on weekends, so that we know that it works, we know that it is doable, and we know that it is sustainable throughout the system. We feel that that is the fairest way to go forward. And like Paul said, and like Phil said, the fare program that is set for low-income people only applies to SNAP individuals. SSDI and SSI people who are transit dependent must take Metro Access or have to take Metro Access for trips. Don't have that ability to have that low income fare. They're excluded. So we're asking for a flat fare, and we've been asking for this now for about 2 to 4 years. On the flip side, the better bus network. We want to see the bus network expanded and strengthened, particularly in the Prince George's County area. We know that there are many areas out there where the buses have been cut. People have very low access to buses, and it is critical that the bus network be built up, sustained, and that the jurisdictions like Prince George's County, like Fairfax, and others put the infrastructure in there to make the buses sustainable, bus stops sustainable, bus stops usable, as Sandy just indicated, so that the floating bus stops that you will have within some of those jurisdictions are understandable by people who are visually impaired, usable, and so that it's safe for all individuals. We also applaud the subway, with respect to the subway system, the increased ridership in the trains. We agree with the fares being shorter, and we thank you for working with us on the 8K series. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Sheehan. Do we have any others on the phone line? Okay, our next speaker will be Ms. Denise Rush.
Good evening. My name is Denise Rush, and I am the Vice Chair of the Accessibility Advisory Committee and the Vice Chair of the Metro Access Subcommittee. Tonight, I just would reiterate that we want a flat fare. We are requesting that we now are using the $4 after 9 and on the weekends. They double the fare for Metro Access users. People who are approved for Metro Access have a disability. They're on fixed incomes. They may not be considered low income. You have a program that's going to allow SNAP to have a reduced fare, but disabled people need reduced fares. It's only fair. It will work. You'll have more riders. And it's just having compassion and understanding of each consumer's situation and look at everybody's situation with an open eye. And I've been attending these hearings year after year that you have them. You hear us, but nobody's listening. I don't think that they, have a hearing problem. I just think that you need to really have compassion and be fair to the Metro Access users. Also, extending more bus service in Virginia, and especially PG. You can't go to Walmart after. You can't go on the weekends. You can only go during the weekday in Clinton. There's so many places that are cut off on the weekend, and that's when people like to travel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rush. Our next speaker is Tina Curry.
Hi there. My name is Tina Curry. I'm a resident of Prince George's County. I'm in support of the proposed Metro Rail frequency increases. I think this will help ridership and thus help WMATA's bottom line. Making it more reliable and predictable will make more people want to ride again and then increase revenue. I'm also in support of a flat fee for Metro Access. And as a non-user, I'd pay more so that they would be able to get a flat fee. For other buses, I think frequency really needs to be improved. I have no idea if my bus is going to come in 5, 15, or 25 minutes. So let me know who I need to forward my rideshare receipts to for reimbursement. Finally, I'd like to ask for, can't read my handwriting, some capital investment funds to be allocated for non-smoking signage within 25 feet of bus bays at rail stations, similar to a decal on this building. Specifically on both sides of this Metro rail station, there's a lot of smokers, and those waiting for the bus just have to sit there and smell the smoke or move away and not catch the bus. So if we can implement that as part of the capital improvement, that would be great. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. Curry. Our next speaker is Amber Woods.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amber Woods, and my organization is the National Harbor Chapter, National Federation of the Blind of Maryland in Prince George County. And also I'm a member of the Commission for Individuals with Disabilities in Prince George County. However, I am representing myself today. I am grateful to be here on this budgetary hearing. And one of the things or concerns is definitely in Prince George County, there are a lot of areas where it's unclear coverage areas. For example, we try to have an event in Brandywine, and in one hand, some members have said they have coverage and others did not. So I'm not sure if that's budgetary, but it's definitely a big concern because what I've heard earlier about Ms. Rush had mentioned that people do not have any coverage on the weekends as well. And so I noticed that there are some alternative where there might not be any buses in the area, but however, people still need to continue to have a decent living in their livelihoods of being able to shop and go to church and other things that they desire within the county. And I also noticed too, I've learned, is that sometimes it's confusing to know if this is whether the state's responsibility or the local governments of any of the jurisdictions. So I've heard in April, there is definitely going to be a study with that. So I will definitely love to learn more about that because there's actually also a proposal in Prince George County near 210 where there is a senior living area where they only talk about circular for that proportion. However, there's a major neighborhood with as equally as probably more seniors where there is no sidewalks whatsoever. You have to get into a crevice to just even touch the accessible, well, it's not even accessible either, but the signing, to cross the highway. And so that's also a problem too. And then behind the area, there is a road on that is quite dangerous because I had a O&M instructor to assess the area, and they were like, there is no way you can cross this safely. So that's actually a concern of lower ridership, because maybe there are other examples throughout the different jurisdictions that there are just no safe ways to even access the bus stops that are provided. So I thank you for this time and opportunity to hear what I have to say. And also, hopefully, like I said, I will be able to see the studies and give more input there as well. But also, too, I want to mention the flat fee rate on the weekend might be actually feasible for Metro Access users. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Woods. Our next speaker is Ansel Torres.
Hello. To my fellow disabled speakers here this evening, I hate to tell you this, but save your breath. WMATA doesn't care about what you have to say, okay? This is what I called an illusion of inclusion. It is a farce. We come here year after year, say the same crap, advocate for the same issues, and we are ignored. I believe that WMATA treats disabled people like second-class citizens. We are also being used to attract funds to WMATA, and then they use those funds on things other than Metro Access. Based on my analysis of the budget, there is a $43 million variance, surplus, that is there at the end of almost every budget year for the past 3 years, starting in 2022. And if you extrapolate out that to 2023 and fiscal year 2024, it's going to be about the same or even higher. So we're talking millions of dollars here that can go to provide disabled people with zero fares like it's done in other places, and they refuse to do it. They also refuse to say where these unused funds for Metro Access are going. We need to know this. I was actually told by Mr. Blake when I asked this question at an AAC meeting that I was asked to attend, and they're constantly encouraging you to go to these meetings as a disabled rider and speak up and get your answers. And Mr. Blake said to me point blank, go pound sand in so many words. In other words, we're not going to answer your question about where the money is going. Go to your congressman, go to your representative, and let them tell you where the money is being spent. That is an insult. And that is a very damning indictment of what goes on at WMATA. WMATA is a rogue operation, and that is exemplified by the fact that the Metropolitan Rail Commission had to be established by Congress in order to bring some control to this damn organization. I also am here to advocate tonight. And I will be doing this continuously, for the reform and reboot of the Metro Access system, and for there to be an equivalent body, perhaps established by Congress or whomever, to overlook the spending of monies at Metro Access because it is not being transparent. WMATA is not being accountable. And I am mad. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Our next speaker is Annelies Goger.
Thank you. My name is Annelies Goger, and I want to thank all the speakers who've come tonight. I'm a fellow at Brookings Metro, but I'm here on behalf of myself as an individual tonight. I'm a resident in West Hyattsville, and I am a carless individual. I take the Metro almost every day, ride my bike, take the bus, etc., and it's a very critical part of my everyday life. I'm here because I have 3 concerns that I want to raise about the proposal to change the yellow line and to have it turn around at Mount Vernon Station. My first concern is about regional equity. So historically, what we see is a structural segregation in where people work and where people live. And I'm talking about racial equity, income equity, and other forms of equity in this region. A lot of the growth is happening in the Arlington Crystal City corridor. The HQ2 project is about 25,000 jobs, 8,000 jobs. How are people going to get from Prince George's County and Northeast DC to those jobs? When you take the direct ride out and add 10 to 15 minutes to someone's commute, it can be a deal breaker. And so I believe that this move to resegregate the region is very concerning from a racial justice point of view and from the point of view of our leaders, the President. The Infrastructure Act was just explicit about how these funds should be used to address some of these structural inequities in the region. Second, my concern is about economic development. I live, like Kelson, in a transit-oriented development. This is not only good for Prince George's County, for the county revenues, for the city revenues, for the homeowners who have already invested, but also it's good for WMATA because it represents opportunities for more revenue streams and for the ability to do ground leasing and get constant revenue from those transit-oriented developments. Not to mention the climate change implications of changing our land use patterns, getting people to decide not to drive to the airport from Prince George's County, but to take the yellow line. And third, I'm very concerned that our region, WMATA, and our elected officials are missing a generational opportunity to use the infrastructure and other federal investments that are coming out right now. The justification for ending the yellow line is we have old infrastructure at Greenbelt and can't increase the frequency. So the answer is use the money from the Infrastructure Act to update the infrastructure because now is the time. I feel that our officials are leaving money, federal money, almost $1 trillion that is out there in this bill that we are not using in our region to address structural racism, to address our climate challenge. So thank you very much for hearing my perspective, and I look forward to hearing everyone else tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Goger. I understand that there's no one else in the speaker's queue. Is there anyone in the room that has a desire to speak? Okay.
I see the city of Bowie. Bowie 22 has a 30-minute difference. Every other bus here basically has a 15-minute difference. I've never understood why. Bowie's buses aren't enough. We need weekends there too. Bowie is not a city where it's not a lot of people. Bowie is the second largest city in the state in area. I know this for a fact. And its population is still growing. I mean, you know, B-22 is not large enough. The C-26 does its thing, but B-22 does nothing. It goes to Bowie State and that's it. B-24 isn't enough. B-27 isn't enough. Those 3 buses are the only 3 buses two of which I can catch. The B24 and B22 are. Those two buses I can't catch sometimes because they don't run. And why that is, I don't know. Bowie is a large city, and it's the largest second in the state of Maryland in area. Why you aren't sending buses out there is beyond me. I mean, it's ridiculous in my opinion. Bowie has never had a consistent bus service, in my opinion, from Metro. And why that is, I don't know, sir.
So thank you for your feedback. And for the record, can you tell us who you are?
I am Millard Nowak, and I've lived in Bowie basically all my life. I am 53 years old on Mary's Day. I've lived in Bowie basically all my life now, sir.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Is there anyone else interested? Seeing none, since this was our last speaker, this hearing is now concluded, but I do have a number of remarks to make as we close. You're welcome to submit additional testimony, and it must be received by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, March the 15th. Testimony can be submitted online at wmata.com//budget. Online, you have the option to complete a survey, write free-form comments, and upload a letter, petition, or any other document. You can also mail testimony to the Office of the Secretary, WMATA, P.O. Box 44390, Washington, D.C. 20026. Again, all testimony must be received by 5 p.m. on March 15th, and we encourage everyone to submit comments online if possible. You also have the option to speak in the remaining hearings this week. The next one is tomorrow evening at Meridian High School, 121 Mustang Alley in Falls Church, and Metro will provide a shuttle from the West Falls Church Metro Station. And the second one is a virtual hearing we're holding on Friday, March 10th at noon. Friday's hearing will only accept comments via phone and video. Information on how to register for the remaining hearings can be found at www.wmata.com/budget. Thank you again for joining us and for taking time to provide testimony.